Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the Battlefield 6 beta. As a Battlefield fan and as a Battlefield veteran, not really, I'd say probably a commander. I've been playing since Battlefield 3 and so on. If you want to know what my favorite Battlefields are, I'd say my top 3 would be Battlefield 3, Hardline, and Battlefield 1. And so, well actually, that's a hard one, but it's between Battlefield 1 and 5, really, to be honest. And I will stick on Hardline. I do love Hardline. I loved what the game was, and I played a heck ton of it. I really hope that they bring some maps from there, especially, you know, knowing and seeing that downtown is going to be one. I would like to also see Bank Heist. Bank Heist was a really fun map, and especially playing the heist game mode on there. Really, really fun. Always action-packed and always crazy. It was a fun game. I think it's underrated, so you know, but hey, that's my opinion. Anywho, but I mean, let's just jump right into it. Let's start off with performance what we have with the beta. Definitely performance has been upped since the alpha test. I was part of the alpha test. I did try it. During the alpha test, I didn't really have much of an issue of, you know, matchmaking, and during the game of having any like lag spikes, frame drops, fidelity issues and all that sorts and jazz. So definitely, but it definitely felt kind of, you know, input laggy. But definitely here now, they definitely made it better. This is a better build, so you know, I could see that difference, and I'm very happy to see that they improved and, you know, fixed those problems to flesh it out and make it a better experience. And it's a pretty solid beta from all the betas that I've played in my life of any other games. This has to be up there, like top 10 most solid betas that I've played. I will say that I did lag like once or twice. I frame dropped about like once or twice. I timed out 5 times, I think, 4 or 5 times. I did have this problem whenever I would play with friends. That I would get into the match, or they would get into the match, and one person wouldn't get in, and we'd have to leave and start the matchmaking all over again. So hopefully DICE, please fix that, because you know, I don't want to have to keep on doing that over and over. But yeah, that was one issue that I kept on running into, and it kept on occurring all the way to the end of the beta. So definitely want to see that get fixed. Other than that, other than having, you know, lags, frame drops, being timed out, everything else has been pretty good. The game's been playing very well, very fluid, very smooth. It is very smooth, if you haven't noticed. Very smooth, and it's really, and I really appreciate it, and I like that smooth gameplay. So it's always nice and great to see that is working well, you know. That definitely doesn't mean that you know, it's been like that for everybody. You know, I'm pretty sure everybody else has you know, their problems with it. So hopefully everything gets really ironed out to where there's, like, you know, barely any wrinkles in the game when it comes out, because we all know that, you know, every Battlefield game, they always have server issues and everything. So hopefully they get that fixed and get that solved before then, and have enough time to do it. And especially if they don't have enough time and they still need to work on a few things, then I, you know, definitely delay the game like a month or 2, or even to next year, and, you know, to have a proper, you know, release and have not as so many problems, you know. Other than that, you know, the graphics and everything the graphics are amazing. The visuals are awesome. They're it's very high and sharp. I'm loving I'm loving the theme, and, you know, every time I look at the game and every time I'm playing, you know, I'm right in there, and I'm always, and I'm just like, I'm in there. I'm in it. It's Battlefield. The visuals are amazing. So, you know, they're doing great on that. They're doing what Battlefield does best. So I give them props on that. Going on to infantry and map layout, and, you know, kind of like the gameplay is also in that too. Playing as an infantry, you know, on boots, running around, shooting, gunning, blowing stuff up. It's been great. It's been awesome. There's still some little gripes that I do have. Sometimes I do get stuck on objects that I shouldn't be getting stuck on, and sometimes I'll run and an object will lift me up into the air and bounce me up, and so I'll catch some air. So definitely, you know, have those things fixed. You know, getting launched in the air isn't something that I get mad at. It's just more funny when it happens. It's goofy, you know. But definitely getting stuck on, you know, little things or just something that's not there but I'm getting stuck on definitely does, you know, kind of frustrate you, especially if you're going for, you know, you're on a really good streak, and you know, and then that ruins you, so it ruins the flow. So hopefully they get that fixed and everything. Other than that, playing as an infantry, you know, blowing up effects and everything, they've been great. I've heard some people say that it's been like it feels like a bit too much, you know, that it feels like, you know, too much part of the particle effects. I personally don't mind. I do like the particle effects, and I always enjoy seeing that. So, you know, but you know, if it is something that is too much for people, then, you know, maybe dial it back down, or kind of decrease the time of you know, when the impact happens and the animation or the explosion happens, and kind of, you know, when the particles fly out, let, you know, that kind of out of the 100% that flies out, you know, kind of already dissipate 70% of it to like disappear quickly, and, you know, have the rest of the 30 kind of fly out and stay a bit longer. So, you know, there's that could, you know, that could be compensated. Other than that, you know, being an infantry and playing on these maps, they're definitely infantry focused. They're very urban. It's an urban fight, urban map. The Abbasid map, I hate it. I'm not gonna lie. I actually don't like the map. I never liked it since the alpha, and it's a map that I just don't enjoy, and that's just something that that it's always gonna be in a Battlefield game. There's always gonna be one map that's just like really atrocious and horrible. For example, Aerodome from Battlefield 6. I mean Battlefield 6, Battlefield 5. Every time I saw that map, I always quit. That map is atrocious. It's appalling. It makes me throw up every time, and you know, that map sucks. That map sucks, and that's how I feel with the Egypt map. So, you know, either, you know, may fix it up a bit, or kind of add a. I don't know. I don't know. I think that it's just. I think there's nothing to really fix. It's just kind of how the map flows and everything. That is just how that map is, and I just don't like it. And probably the layout, and then kind of just like, I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I can't stress it enough. I just don't like it. Also, another thing is I don't see the point of having a tank in there, let alone an APC. An APC is already like big enough for that map, and that's a pretty like small, medium-ish map. You know, it reminds me of Pearl Market. You know, and I think an Amtrak would be better there, and, you know, a couple quads and motorcycles. I don't think a tank has a place in there, really. It's too small, and the tank's too big, and, you know, it's pretty. It's just, you're just asking for, you know, to be just gangbanged by a bunch of engineers. So I think definitely an Amtrak would fit perfect in that map. You could keep the APC. I haven't really had a super big issue with APC. It's usually more the tank, but even the APC does kind of get annoying sometimes, because it's big, and that map is not really open as much as it is for those vehicles. So, you know, but if it still stays in there, then, you know, that's okay. I could live with the APC there, but the tank gotta go. Tank has no place in that map. The only place that tank has a place in is freaking the Liberation Peak, the Tajikistan map. Now that's actually, you could put a tank in there, and there are tanks in there, and the APC. That is a vehicle map. I will say that it's from the size of Liberation Peak and kind of how everything flows. I feel like that map does not really suit the jet that much. I feel like it suits the helicopter, the Apache. So definitely keep that in. Keep the Apache and the APC and the tanks in there, and the transport vehicles. But I think if you were to add one more vehicle to it, I feel like a Little Bird would also do well too. But now that I kind of think about it, if either you put two Little Birds actually, and take out the Apache, or you put an Apache and a Little Bird in there. But I think I feel like probably two Little Birds, or maybe even one Little Bird would do good. The jet just feels a bit too. It feels a bit too, like, the map feels small for the jet. It's such a when you're in the jet, the map looks really like it looks really small, to be honest. So it kind of doesn't play well with it almost in a way. But I mean, if you're you're a gamer and you work your way around it and make it work for yourself. So obviously, you're gonna use the jet and make it work with the map that you're playing on. But I think that the jet should be taken out of that. But I do advocate for the jet to be taken out there. The map rotation of the Liberation Peak is kind of and I've noticed this in really all the maps, is that it's always you taking your home point, and then you straight going for the other enemy's home point, and then the enemy does the same thing. So you guys are kind of like just going in a huge circle like a whirlpool. And and that's cool because that keeps you running, that keeps you going around. But I have been seeing that it is just I'm always seeing our home base, our home point being taken while we're taking their home point, and then we have to run back and grab that home point, and then they have to run back and get their home point, and then there's obviously the middle, the two middle points that will that you just either you choose to go to the home point, or you kind of just like break off in the middle and like deal with those middle objectives. And that happens with Liberation Peak. I think it happens more with the Egypt map and the Gibraltar map. Those two are the more you're flopping ends each time. So I think that happens more a lot than Liberation Peak. It feels like more B gets taken, and then and E gets taken. B and E are the main things that like kind of get taken, and they keep on swapping from your team and the enemy team. C and D, I feel like D's kind of like left alone. Like you'll have that point for a really long time, and then eventually it'll get taken over. C is more of like the main point where you want to hold. I've been seeing that in my gameplays, seeing our team trying to take C and their team and the enemy team trying to take C. So that's kind of how those games have been ending up, especially on Liberation Peak. But what I was saying before that, it's been happening on the Egypt map and the Gibraltar map. That the flip flop has been happening a lot with those maps too. Out of all of them, the Gibraltar map is my favorite map. It's just straight infantry focus. I advocate for the APC to be there, even though it is tight and small. It kind of it comes in clutch whenever you need it, especially when you have a lot of points that you need to take that the enemy took. It definitely kind of helps you, but it all depends on team play and if you have engineers that are gonna heal you and keep on repairing your tank or your APC. So definitely that map is definitely kind of a big team based map. Especially, so I always enjoy that map, and I'll post some of these. I have some videos of just me playing a whole match, either with myself or my friends, or just and sometimes it has audio or just no audio, and I'll be getting those out too. So and you'll be able to see. But I think some of my best matches have been really on the Gibraltar map and the Liberation Peak. And the Egypt map is just I just don't like that map. I think I never really have a good map or a good run on that map really. Other than that, I would, if I were to rank all these maps, if I were to put them together and give a rating in total, I'd probably say it's a 6-7 out of 10. The Egypt map really brings it down. I really give it I give a Dookie rating 0. It doesn't even deserve to have 0. It deserves to be negative, really. The Gibraltar map is it's a 7 out of 10. The Liberation Peak map, it's also a 7 out of 10, kind of a 6 out of 10. So it really, with that combined rating, it really kind of stays at like a 6-7 out of 10. So they're not horrible, but they're definitely the vehicle choices on some of them, and also kind of just how the map is played out and the size of it too. It definitely kind of that's where it's gonna show is this a good map for people to play on. That's something to keep in mind. Next we could go into vehicles. Now I'm very a vehicle main. I've always loved playing vehicles, especially the helicopter. So I mainly play the helicopter. That's my main vehicle. When playing the helicopter, the helicopter still needs a lot of work. The flight controls are still kind of iffy. They're still kind of they're still iffy. Especially when you turn, the turn really feels slow, and I don't feel as like I could really be like fast and, you know, fluid and like, you know, go crazy with it. So definitely, you know, definitely that needs to be fixed. That needs to be ironed out and, you know, looked at. The health of the helicopter is really crappy. Surface to air missiles do way too much damage to both jets and helicopters. All you need is just one hit, and then they could just lay you out with their gun, and, you know, you could die. So I think it should take 2 hits for surface to air missiles for both helicopters and jets. Either that, or, you know, increase the health for the helicopter and jets. So, and then also another thing, the locking on distance for these surface to air missiles are really they're really annoying, because I'm super far out, like far away, and they're still locking onto me, and I'm just like wondering, like, how, like, isn't there like a distance where like you can't lock onto them, you know, unless I'm like painted and, you know, laser guided, then okay, sure. But if I'm not, then, you know, I think there should be a distance to where these surface to air missiles can reach. And if, you know, and especially when you get low and kind of get close to the ground, that you know, you also can't shoot it, because, you know, just like in Battlefield 4, trying to lock onto a target, and, you know, they go low, you lose that target and it won't lock on until they get higher up. I think that it should be like that, because too many times, you know, that I've been low to the ground, super low, even going through the little canyon, and I'm still being locked on, and they still shoot it and they still get me. And so, you know, that does annoy me. It's just that I don't think it's fair, really. Another thing also is the 7-shot missiles. I don't know why DICE put them at 7 shots. I don't know if they just locked like a certain, you know, missile type that has that only that much that you could shoot at a time. But I would like my, you know, 14 round missiles that I could just, you know, do a barrage of, like in Battlefield 4. So I would like to see a higher missile count, and definitely a higher autocannon count. The 12, it just doesn't. I just feel like I'm just doing a burst. I'm just always shooting, reloading, you know, and not just, you know, having my 30 round count, and, you know, kind of not having to reload every single time and like wait. I'm always on the waiting game when I'm in the autocannon. So definitely up the count. But I think it should be back to, you know, 30. You could bring it down to 25, but I think that's it. Like, it can't get lower than that. So definitely up the count for the autocannon. Now for the jets, I want to say I'm also a jet main too, but that depends on what kind of jets there are. In Battlefield 5, I was a bomber main, so I love playing as the bomber, and I really like also playing as a bomber, being, you know, especially in BF1 when they introduced it, that, you know, the bomber planes. I definitely had fun with that. You know, always love kind of, you know, doing the strafing runs and dropping bombs. That's always fun. So, you know, hopefully, you know, we could get that. But definitely, I feel the jets are still too stiff. They're still too hard to turn. Definitely make the maneuverability more easier on them, or not easier, but kind of I could turn more tighter if I want to, and do, you know, crazy moves just like in Battlefield 5. And even, you know, then, you know, do some Top Gun moves. You know, do a scorpion, do a whole, you know, donut or something. So definitely make the turn radius tighter, that if I could want to go tight, I could go tight. And obviously if I'm going fast, then obviously the turn will be, you know, kind of like it'll be more of a wider turn. But if I'm slowing down, I could, you know, kind of do an air brake and kind of just, you know, like break away and do a little air drift and turn quick, especially if someone's behind me. And I think that would make me, you know, the engagement and dogfights more and more, you know, exciting, and like, you know, they feel like actual dogfights, you know, just like in Battlefield 5. Now, obviously, you know, some airplanes in Battlefield 5 are just really annoying, and they just, you know, kill and fucking molest you. So, you know, definitely, you know, balance it out a bit, but it also depends on what you have. Definitely have two gunner, two-seated airplanes. Would like to see that. I would like to see two-seated airplanes, and then also just multiple aircraft options. And then also if you're not gonna change the the turning and everything, then obviously I think it should be some airplanes have have different stats. Just some are faster and some are slower. Some have a better turn and some have more armor and some are light. But they're light, but they could turn. Just like in Battlefield 5, implemented here into Battlefield 6. I think that would work really well. And obviously, iron it out, flush it out, and make it fair and good. Going on to APCs and tanks, I feel like they're kind of the ones that are kind of like left alone a bit. They're still kind of like in the alpha, but I mean obviously way better. But I think they still have a hard time, managing when you're driving and turning and everything. The controls kind of get iffy and they get a little retarded. And you start to kind of like sometimes I'll be backing up and next my tank or APC just wants to ride up the wall and start like grinding on it, and and I'm giving like the mountain or whatever a lap dance. So I'm always like, what the fuck am I doing? So definitely fix that and get that fixed, because it really work on the tanks and the APCs, and flush that out, iron that out, because I think that has, as vehicle wise, the helicopters have the most wrinkles. Second is the jets, but the tanks are last. There's still wrinkles, but kind of those wrinkles are really effective. So they're really, you could really see them. So definitely iron those out and fix those and kind of make it better. The moving around and driving a whole lot more fluid and everything. Moving on to game modes, breakthrough sucks. It's shite. It is horrible, especially on these maps. It's sniper. It's a spawn fuckfest for the people who are attacking. The people who are defending, it's a cakewalk. They just sit and they just again they just skull fuck you in the spawn. So and I either pull back the boundary to where how close they can get to you, or that's really the only way, actually, really, or put more cover, or pull back the boundary where they could only go so far up. Other than that, I mean, I love breakthrough. Breakthrough's fun, but that definitely is something, and especially on the Egypt map and the Liberation Peak, that is the main problem. And it really and it's always, you just never get past the first stage, especially on Liberation Peak. I've never gotten past like third stage. Third stage is the farthest I've gotten, but almost every single time I'm always losing at the first section or the second section. For the Egypt map, farthest I've gotten is I think the very last section. But even then, that's still it's still, you still get spawn camped in there. You still get clapped pretty hard. And then it also depends on teams too, and if your team is really pushing or not. That the breakthrough game mode is good, but I don't think the maps are really good for it. Conquest has been amazing. Playing on Gibraltar, Conquest, always fun. Liberation Peak, always fun. Egypt map, fuck that map. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. I just don't like that map, no matter what. Breakthrough is the only way that you can make that map sort of fun, but even then, I still kind of hate it. Conquest is pretty fun. Normal, staple Battlefield game mode. It's always great. King of the Hill, I think I played it once. It's all right. It's something that I wouldn't really play, especially in Battlefield. I feel like it kind of doesn't work. But that's more that works more with Call of Duty. But I mean, it's always cool to have new game modes. So for people to try it and they could play it if they want to. So I think it's cool. So there's my opinion on that game mode. Domination has been great, especially on Liberation Peak. Liberation Peak is the best. Gibraltar is second. And we're not even gonna say the other name. So play Domination on Liberation Peak. It plays well. I like it. I really like it. It plays well, and it's always fun, and I'm always engaged. And again, Domination is something that I really love. It's my favorite game mode in COD. So I really enjoyed Domination, and it's just like a small conquest, but kind of the objectives are a bit closer, or well, actually really close. But other than that, obviously there's closed weapons conquest, and then everything else is like open. I'm gonna say this, and I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna agree with me. I know there's some people that advocate for open weapons, but to me, no. Choose one or the other. I still think that we should be closed weapon. Classes define the game, and then also it just leads to team play, and also it's Battlefield. You can't have, it's not really Battlefield if you don't have your classes and your class lock weapons. And I mean, you could choose, you could have both in the game at the end, but like they said, it's gonna split your player base, and obviously most people are going to play closed weapons. So at this point, really, DICE has to really pick and choose which one they're gonna go with. And I'm telling them, and I'm pretty sure you're telling them, to go with the closed weapons. It's best, it's better, and also it's just like I said, what I was telling my uncle, who is Tin Omen, who's been in my videos. He's also been playing Battlefield for a really long time, and we both love it, and we both advocate for closed weapons, classes, and everything. And definitely it's what Battlefield does best. I feel like there's no explanation that needs to be done. All the Battlefield games that have been closed weapons, except for 2042, and also just we stay in our lane, and especially we need to stay in our lane now because they fucked up so hard, and the community is like fuck EA, and DICE is fucking up. So to me, if I was a game developer, I would be giving everything that my Battlefield my Battlefield fans and people who play my game, I would be giving them everything that they want, and then after then we could get a little experimental. But I need to win them back. Gain their trust, and and then be after like, hey, what do you guys think about trying something new? Then they could be like, you know what? All right, you gave us what you want. You gave us what we wanted. All right, go ahead and do something. Try to create something original and try something different. So definitely, I think, or not even I think, it's just a fact that they just need to choose a closed weapon way, and and get their fans, their people, their nation, their gang back to liking them and loving them. So, and they're on track. I'm definitely loving them back. Obviously I'm not gonna jump the gun, but they're doing good. They're actually they're cooking their food thoroughly. They're buying it fresh, and they're giving me fresh, good food. So I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. I just don't want them to fuck it up. Other than that, last thing is weapons. Weapons definitely still need to be fixed. They're still beamy. I'm gonna give an example that that also my uncle said when he was playing it. He says it's an illusion. It gives the illusion of Battlefield, but it feels like COD, and and I understand that, and I have the same opinion too. I feel like I'm playing Battlefield, but when I'm playing with the guns, it's mainly the guns. The movement is all right. The movement's good. I think the movement's in a good place and shouldn't be touched. It's more of the guns. Whenever I shoot the guns, I feel like I'm playing COD, and I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel like when I'm playing a game, it's like, all right, I'm basically playing the same game. Like, I play COD, I come over to play Battlefield, but yet I feel like COD in this game. So, definitely add more recoil, add more spread. The reticles are kind of hard to see through. There's one thing that I have been having a gripe with. Everything feels kind of skinny and small, which I don't really like. I want to have the availability to make things bigger, especially more of the heads-up display. Of the reticles, especially in the tanks and the aircrafts and helicopters, and then also in the reticles, kind of make the dots be a bit thicker, and also the scopes, the red dot scopes, and then also just scopes in general. The reticles are really small and skinny and kind of hard to see, so I would like them to be kind of bigger and or just have that choice that I could increase the reticle size and make them bigger. So there's that I've been a gripe with. The bipod doesn't work. I've been trying it and it doesn't work at all. It never deploys. So definitely get that fixed. Medic and support should be separate. I still think they should be very separate. I don't really like the medic and support being together as one. I think it was just perfect how it was either in Battlefield 4, 1, or 5. So, you know, pick one of those and go with them. I think Battlefield 5 did it the best. I mean, Battlefield 4 and 1, I'll take both of them. I don't care. But I think Battlefield 5 does the best weapons class, or best class of classes, the best. So definitely split apart medic and support. And choose either from engineer or medic. Obviously, if you choose engineer, then obviously they get, you know, the rockets and everything, and assault will be the medic. So and it makes sense. It makes sense. Moving on. Well, not moving on. I get one more thing about weapons is that some of the weapons still feel 3D printed, and that's something in 2042 that I didn't like. The weapons didn't feel loud and bangy, and kind of loud, metal, and bangy. They kind of still they felt like I was 3D printing bullets as I was shooting. So definitely some of the gun sounds definitely need to be a bit a bit tweaked, and kind of, you know, differentiate the sound. Differentiate. I can't speak. Just make the sounds different from each gun. Kind of put more. There's too much bass in them. I think they need to be a bit more less bassy and more kind of loud and more kind of like that metal sound. So that is one thing that I have kind of a gripe with. The defibrillators, I don't like how you could just res them quick. I don't like that. I feel like it's too quick, kind of just like a you know. I want to, you know, kind of charge it up and then put it, or, you know, or either have to charge it up, then you could do it, or kind of slow the rate of, you know, being able to res. Because all I do is I just look at something, I just like, it's a quick just boop. You know, I want to be like boop, and then kind of have to wait and then boop. So that's something I have a gripe with. Another thing I have a gripe with is throwing the grenades and the smokes and whatever. Any throwables, feels like a panic button when I throw it. I definitely want to have that BF4 throw animation, grabbing it, pulling the pin, throwing it. Have some kind of, you know, human throw to it. That's something that I want fixed and changed. It's too quick and too fast. So other than that, that's kind of like a crash course of everything that I think is important to the game. Obviously other stuff, but if I missed it, leave it down in the comments. I'm pretty sure other creators have, you know, said it. So, you know, but anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found it informational and a fun watch. You'll be seeing more Battlefield 6 content. I'll be posting videos, either montages or whole matches of just raw footage of me playing. Other than that, and also goofy Battlefield moments. So other than that, hope you guys have a good day. Enjoy yourselves, and, you know, Battlefield out. Woo!